Hi, please excuse the faded pajama top, but I woke up this morning and I only had 50 pages of The Cursed Child left, which is the new Harry Potter book if you've been living under a rock. So I read it and then I just wanted to talk about it and get it out of my life. So, you know, it's invaded my brain. It's like after Harry Potter finished, dust settled on my brain, and then this book came along and it's like and the dust is everywhere, and I'm trying to put the dust in a coherent direction so I can then sweep it away and move on. That did not make any sense. I'm just gonna get into it because I think I've gone crazy. So here is the script, and I haven't seen the play yet, full disclosure, so I will just be reviewing this based on the kind of plot and the characters and the story, kind of. I haven't seen like any of the staging or the acting or any of that, so that's what this review will be based on, just the script. And anyone who knows me will know that I'm absolutely a super fan of Harry Potter, so as soon as this came out everyone was like, oh, you're gonna get it, you're gonna get it. I said yes, and everyone expected me to love it, but the thing is, I think if you're a super fan or really in love with something, I think you're much more likely to be critical of anything related to that thing, which is kind of what happened here. Harry Potter and the Cursed Child basically follows Harry's child, Albus Severus Potter, who basically feels that Harry's legacy and Harry's achievements is kind of a burden on him. And this creates a lot of tension in their relationship, and to kind of try and live up to that name, Albus tries to right some of Harry's wrongs by stealing a time turner and trying to change some things in the past with his new friend Scorpius Malfoy, who, yes, is Draco Malfoy's son. Now, I knew this was going to be a very different tone. I mean, first of all, it's a play, so there's not a lot of like world building or all that stuff that I love about the Harry Potter books. I know it's going to be much more focused on character and kind of character driven and dynamics driven rather than plot and story and kind of world building, and I did quite like that. I liked that it's a more grown-up version of these characters. I liked seeing where they all ended up, and you know, it did solve some closure issues maybe that I had, but the thing is, if anything, it left me with a lot more unanswered questions, and I'll get onto that in a minute if you don't want to be spoiled. This is non-spoilery, so don't worry, but the thing is, the main issue I think with The Cursed Child for me is that it doesn't really feel like a story in its own right, really. It kind of relies a lot on kind of fan service and cameos and bringing in characters that they know that the fans would like to see. For example, when Albus and people go back in time, they go back to a time in like Goblet of Fire, which is one of my favourite books of the Harry Potter series, and I just felt like they were trying to kind of rehash things that they knew the fans would like rather than create a new original story, which I thought was a bit strange. And to me it didn't feel like a sequel to Deathly Hallows, it felt more like a distant cousin, really. It is very different in tone, of course, because it is not only written by JK herself, it's written by two other people and created by two other people, so it's bound to have a very different tone and style, so just be aware of that before going in. Honestly, reading this felt like I'd returned home after a long holiday and everything, all my furniture has moved like 3 inches to the left. It's like it was so familiar, but it was definitely something off kilter about it and I just couldn't put my finger on it. And maybe I just didn't really click with, I don't know, I think Harry's characterization felt a bit weird for me. I thought he was making decisions that I didn't think that Harry would really make, and this is all non-spoilery still, I'll get into specifics in a minute. But I just didn't feel like his character was kind of upkeeping with what I thought his character would be like. And also I just found a bit confused, as Albus is supposed to be this cursed child, but the thing is Harry has 2 other children, James and Lily, who basically you just don't see in the play at all. And it's like, okay, so Albus is struggling with his father's past to the point where it's causing tension and like arguments. So do his other kids just not care? I mean, they just kind of literally, they're not even in the background, they just don't seem to be in it. It's like, okay, so Harry is kind of a bad father to Albus because he's not dealing with his emotions properly, but he's just basically ignoring his other kids. I mean, where are they? Even though this felt a lot more grown up, as in they're dealing with kind of parenting and their jobs rather than, you know, friendships and, you know, fighting evil. And it did feel more grown up, but I don't know if that's better in a way. I mean, I love the kind of humour and the kind of playfulness of the Harry Potter novels and the films, and I just feel like that was lost here, and probably it is because they're grown up and dealing with more grown up problems, but I just missed that so much. I mean, the humour does come through in places, but to me it really wasn't enough, and I just feel like that's what I love about Harry Potter, the fact that yeah, there are some serious moments and some really emotionally heart-wrenching moments, but it's all done in a very hopeful way, and I just feel like that was kind of lost here. I didn't get the same friendships. For example, Harry and Ron don't really communicate that much, and I understand it's because they have their own families and different responsibilities, but that made me really depressed. I don't know if that's just me, but you know, I wanted to see more of their friendship because it's like they're best friends, and I just don't feel like, oh, I don't know. So now is where I go into slight spoilers. I'm just going to explain aspects of the play that I did like, because there were quite a few, and I did cry at 2 points, I think, so it definitely did affect me, and I definitely had an immersive and enjoyable experience reading it, but I'll explain what I came away with at the end. I loved that Hermione was Minister for Magic. That was just perfect, and that made my heart so very happy, and she's brilliant at it, of course, it's Hermione. And I love Hermione and Ron's dynamic just all the time. It was great. I just love them together. I always have. So that was perfect. Although my slight issue with Ron was that basically all of his lines were comedic, and that did really help the tone come through of the original Harry Potters, like I was talking about. But the thing is, that's kind of all Ron was there for. He was just really there for the funny input, whereas I feel in the books, in the Harry Potter books, Ron was much more of a kind of serious influence to the story. I don't know, maybe that's just me. I love Scorpius Malfoy. I think he's a great new character. I really love his humour, and I love that Draco managed to raise someone that's so nice. I just love that, and also Draco is a very sweet dad to him, and I loved seeing that. Really, it was beautiful. Although the slight issue with Scorpius is that I did think that he was going to be gay, and then it turned out that he isn't gay, and I thought that was a bit because it did kind of hint that way quite strongly, and then it didn't go that way, so I was like, bit of queer baiting is not the greatest. When Albus and Scorpius go back in time, some of the alternate realities of what could have happened were quite interesting to see, like, you know, who survived or who didn't, and, you know, what would have happened had things gone differently. That was interesting to me, but again, it did kind of feel a bit like fan fiction, or, you know, something that wasn't really canon. A lot of this wasn't canon, if that makes sense. It was kind of going back and forward in time and playing with what could have been rather than what actually is. There's a lovely bit when Harry and Draco, as grown-ups, are fighting. They're having a wand battle, as you do, and Draco says to Harry, "Keep up, old man," and Harry goes, "We're the same age," and then Draco goes, "Yes, but I wear it better." And it's fantastic, and I love that. That's what I love about Harry Potter. The serious things are happening, they're having an argument, but it's just done in such a playful and upbeat way, and obviously not everything in Harry Potter is upbeat, and that's not what I expect, but I just missed a lot of that humour in here. That was one of the only moments where I really saw that coming through. One bit that did make me kind of tear up a lot was, this is quite a big spoiler, well, it's not really a spoiler, it's just a sweet moment that made me tear up a bit, is when Ginny and also Draco tell Harry that they were both jealous of him and Ron and Hermione, like their friendship and their closeness, and that made me really sad, because Ginny was saying how she was lonely and Draco was lonely, and it just made me really sad. I was like, my babies, no. Ultimately, of course, I enjoyed bits of this. I'm bound to. I'm in love with this world and I'm in love with these characters, but I don't think that there was a way this could have been done right. It's so impossible to give people what they want. And while there was a lot of closure in here, for example, Harry having conversations with the portrait of Dumbledore and kind of, you know, dealing with the ramifications of his past, that was quite interesting, and I liked how that was done. But there's no way that you can cover all your bases with that, because I want to know what happened to lots of other characters. For example, where's Neville? They mention Neville like 3 times and he doesn't appear. It's like, you're just teasing me. And also, I want to know what happens to Luna and Dean and Seamus, and obviously, like, that's not all gonna fit in a 2-hour play or whatever this is. So I just think that, if anything, rather than giving people closure and answering questions, this just brings up even more questions, because there's no way it can cover all its bases. And like I said, I did enjoy it, but I am slightly underwhelmed with it. I still enjoyed it enough to want to see the play. I really want to see the play, because I think a lot of the power in the dialogue obviously will be through actors' delivery, and also the staging sounds amazing. Like the bits where they're going back and forward in time, I'm like, how are you going to do that? And the bits with the staircases, how are you going to do that? I think as a play it would work as a much more immersive and fun adventure, whereas just reading it I felt a bit kind of, like I said, underwhelmed, even though I enjoyed it at times. And I also would love to see, you know, new characters like Albus and Scorpius brought to life, even though it would be so strange for me seeing Harry, Ron and Hermione played by different actors, because even when reading this I read the lines in the voices of Dan, Emma and Rupert, because that's how my brain works. Even though it was lovely returning to this world for a brief time, I think the next time I feel like returning to the world of Harry Potter, I will go to the 7 books or the 8 movies. I don't know if I'll return to this. It just left me with so many unanswered questions, and even though I got some closure from it, I don't think that it was warranted. Like, I didn't give enough to warrant this being published and being a thing. But I am gonna see the play, hopefully, if I get tickets. And yeah, honestly, after reading this, I feel like a cursed child, because like my brain is just in haywire and I don't know if it's ever gonna stop. Thanks so much for watching this review. If you've read this or seen the play, please leave your thoughts in the comments. I'd love to chat to you about it, and I'll see you soon with another video. Bye!